Hey everyone. Hey. Oh, all right. Hey everyone. How's it going? And how's your KuroCon Vol.2 so far? Hopefully great. All right. All right. Fantastic. Um, Welcome to the last fan panel of the day. Thank you so much for coming. This is the Machi Asobi mini crash course where I will be talking about Machi Asobi and my experiences with it. What is Machi Asobi, you might ask? Well, spoiler alert, it's just another event in Japan. Though it's my hope that by the time we're done here, I can convince you to think that it's actually more than just that. But first, a little bit about myself. I am your presenter, JT, and I go by 7th Wraith on SNS, like Twitter. You might have heard about me in passing. If you have, that's probably because we share the same fandom. For example, I am a casual fan of solo works like Idolmaster. I am an Iori Ranko Shiho P, I guess Mimi P to some extent, and several others if you want to go full blown Million Live. I'm also in Tuwag when they were a thing. In fact, they still are to me since I never really got closure. I would have, though, had the plane I took to see them at their last concert ever made it to Narita instead of turning around 4 hours into the flight. Yep, that was me. And actually, that also applied to one other person whose name I don't know. Moving right along, I am also a fan of several voice actresses. One particular example is a lady by the name of Reina Ueda or Ueshima. The same can be said of anisong artists, especially rock bands who we consider anisong bands because they happen to sing a couple of songs featured in an anime. I like a lot of them, and there's honestly just too many to mention. But really, the bottom line is that I make it a point to see and interact with all of the above in person, whether by anime conventions here in the US or abroad, or even in Japan. Oh, sorry, that got cropped. But what that is trying to say is that I am absolutely not Nihongo Jozu, in case you're wondering. Unlike some of us who pretend they don't know an ounce of the language until you line up with them in an event, say an autograph signing, then you watch the power levels unfold to JLPT and zero. You guys know a friend like that, right? Now, I'm saying this because I want you to keep this in mind as I'm explaining my experiences with this event. I got along just fine without the ability to hold a proper conversation in Japanese. So this if this is a concern for you, it shouldn't be. And by the way, that's a picture of my hand wrapped around a life-size cardboard stand of Kosakaumi from Idolmaster Million Live after it was signed by Ueda Reina during her visit to basically where I live. uh, oh, moving right along. So about me and Machi Asobi, I've only been to Machi Asobi twice, right? My first one was in Volume 13, which was held in October 2014. I have heard about Machi Asobi by watching a stream from Tokyo Game Show the month before Machi Asobi, which is funny because isn't Tokyo Game Show like happening right around now? So I discovered Machi Asobi like right now 6 years ago. And you guys remember Hanayamata? Yeah, it's if you can watch it, it's a cute show, and I would say at least for me, it's my gateway series to a lot of other fandoms. At that time, when I discovered Machi Asobi, I don't think anyone else have heard of Machi Asobi, let alone have gone to one. If you were one of the people who actually went there before I did, let me know. I'd be interested in talking to you. Uh, and then last Machi Asobi that I went to was 4 years after my first one, which is in October 2018. So I would not return to Machi Asobi until 4 years later. All right. So here's an overview of what we're going to talk about. So we're going to talk about what Machi Asobi is, why you would go, when to go, how to get there, and things to do. Okay. So, what is Machi Asobi? So, one of the descriptions I found, about Machi Asobi is it's an entertainment event for anime fans involving names in the industry, anime industry, and other related industries such as like voice acting and all that jazz. But I add with a twist, and we're gonna talk about what that twist is later on. So bear with me. So it's a place where you can see concerts, right? See concerts, take pictures of cosplayers, take pictures of exhibits like Itashas, attend premiere screenings, buy limited merch, and whatever the hell this is. By the way, if you don't know, this is Palmer Lucky. He's the one who, I guess, invented Oculus Rift. So yeah, even he made it to Machi Asobi. Okay, so Machi Asobi is an event held twice a year. The first one ever was held on October 2009. That's Volume 1. Apparently, it used to be a 3 times a year event until 2011. It's just a biannual event. It's held in the city of Tokushima in Tokushima Prefecture. So, where exactly is Tokushima? It's right here. So, if this is the city itself, right, and that city is situated in a region of Japan called the Shikoku region, which is this island right here. And just to give you a reference, Tokyo is all the way over here, you know. So it's just funny because that reminds me, one of the reasons why I even considered going to Tokushima to go to Machi Asobi was because someone told me, or I heard from somebody, I don't know who that person is, that Tokushima is just an hour away from Tokyo. And I said, well, that's great because during my first time to Machi Asobi, I was already going to, plan to be there to attend. I believe it was the Ninth Idol Master Live. So you know what? An hour away from Tokyo, that's great. Let me just book a trip there. Then I later regretted it, sort of, because I found out that it's only an hour away from Tokyo by plane. So guess how surprised I was. Um, okay, moving on. Okay, so Machi Asobi is, an event, and it all started because of partnerships between 3 entities, right? So it's possible because these 3 groups are cooperating with each other. So you have the producer who is in charge of the overall operation of Machi Asobi as a project. You have the sponsors who more or less provide the funds, and you have the organizers who actually organize the events. Okay, so one of these so there are, I guess, 2 notable producers, if not only 2. One of these is UFO Table Tokushima. Now, please note that this is, I specifically said UFO Table Tokushima, which is a subsidiary of UFO Table, but it's not UFO Table entirely. It's just UFO Table Tokushima that's actually involved in producing Machi Asobi. Yeah, so UFO Table, I hope you guys know, they're very known for one particular, I guess, work that involves classes. You guys know what that is? Well, if you haven't, I'm actually talking about Code Vein. I know I'm sort of trolling, but apparently, even though Code Vein is a game by Namco Bandai, the ones who made the in-game animation is UFO Table Tokushima. So that's pretty neat. But seriously, the series that I'm referring to is actually, if you've watched the show before, especially if you're one of the folks who don't skip the opening credits, you'll know that UFO Table is involved with Kimetsu no Yaiba. But the correct answer, or rather the answer I was referring to, is, hopefully the Fate franchise, which someone is going to have a panel here. The other notable producer is Studio Mouse, and they are involved in so many different levels with so many different works. I'm just going to name a few here that are, I like. They're involved with Ping Pong Girls, Aikatsu, Sunday Without God, and my favorite, Yosugana Sora. Okay, moving on. Okay, so this here, give me 1 second, sorry. So here are some notable sponsors and organizers who make Machi Asobi possible. There are a couple things to notice here. One of which is that a lot of these entities are representative of Tokushima, which makes sense because the event happens in Tokushima. The other one is that a lot of these entities are geared towards making you visit Tokushima, which is a very important factor to the reason why someone would visit Machi Asobi. That is the unique experience that you get, but more specifically, anime tourism. So, anime tourism can be described as attracting tourists to Japan by utilizing places related to popular anime. So, for example, using a scene, rather having a place use a scene in the anime to attract tourists to visit that particular place. Machi Asobi takes this a step further. So let's say, for example, in a regular convention, you get from one panel to another by walking a very mundane hallway. Machi Asobi, in contrast, makes you take a cable car to get to, for example, the main stage, right? The other one is that rather so in a regular convention, rather than having you visit the dealer's room so that you can take pictures or see exhibitions, Machi Asobi makes you go inside, or rather ride on a boat, go in the river, and go under a bridge to see exhibitions that are actually painted under the bridge, which is pretty neat, if you ask me. And then okay, regular convention stage is very boring. Machi Asobi, why not have a stage that is right next to a river? So that's just one of the many examples that I'm referring to. Okay, so next part is why would one would visit Machi Asobi? It's because it's a great value. I don't mean to sound like a salesman or someone, a government employee who works for the government of Tokushima. So just a disclaimer, but because the nature of Machi Asobi, you are able to do two things that you would normally take separate trips to Japan for. So if I'm speaking to the correct crowd, you either go to Japan to event or to go on a tourism hike or something. In Machi Asobi, you could do both, and that's also true. Not just true while you are in Machi Asobi within the city proper, but that's also true when you step outside. And if you are one of those people who engage in esports, and by esports, I don't mean like electronic gaming. I actually mean eventing. And you like to, be able to register that your attendance in as many events as possible. Machi Asobi is the event for you because you go to Machi Asobi, you can just go to Event and happily tick all those events that you said that you attended. Okay, last but not the least is the why would someone visit Machi Asobi is the eventful interactions. So by nature, right, Machi Asobi is not convention, but it's pretty much a convention. It's an event that you can, you can customize how involved you want to be in the eventing part and the tourism part. So when you're not eventing, most likely you are chilling. Hopefully you are enjoying the sights and sounds around Tokushima where Machi Asobi is taking place. The caveat is that that's also true for the people who are visiting Machi Asobi. So people from the industry like directors or producers, anisong artists, but specifically voice actresses. And considering that Tokushima is not that much big of a town, most often than not, and without any further action from you, you will bump into such people like voice actresses. I actually have several very memorable interactions with them, and I'm gonna list them one by one. So, first example was happened in during my first trip to Machi Asobi. So, remember earlier I said that I went to Machi Asobi to go to Hanayamata not panel event. So because the people who are going to be there are, one of which is Ueda Reina, whom I mentioned earlier, Tanaka Minami, who is a member of Wake Up Girls, and Umakura Nu, who is also one of the Idol Master Girls. So three of them play a lead character in Hanayamata, and I was going to go there so that I can say hi to them. But the problem was that the event, rather the information about the event, they only said that this thing was going to happen somewhere in the boardwalk in Tokushima. The problem is that if there's anything we know about boardwalks, they're not short; they're long. So, so I had I had trouble finding where this damn booth is. So so I could attend the meet and greet session. So what I did was I stepped aside the boardwalk and I went to some adjacent alleyway to gain my bearings so I can find where this damn event is being held. And then suddenly I got a tap on my shoulder. And I turned around to see who it was, and it was the three girls who I actually wanted to see, and they're tapping me in the shoulder because I am blocking their way. If anything, that was more eventful than actually meeting and greeting them at the actual event. But I'm saying this because of how absurd the proximity is that you get when dealing with people from the industry. So these were the three postcards that I got as a result of the event. Another example is okay. So this is thanks in part to Omo. So I'm dedicating this section to you. Omo, are you around? So it's because of Omo that I had this very fateful experience. So I was trying to run an errand for Omo, and the errand was to get a box of limited edition UFO table Manju. The problem was at that time I had no idea what Manju was, let alone what it looked like. So Manju is just I guess a Japanese snack, and I was trying to find it. I finally found it at some place near UFO Table Cafe. So I found a stack of them, and then I tried to reach out for one, and then we realized that someone else was also reaching out for the same exact box. And I looked up to see who it was, and by the time I realized, it was Takagi Miyu's hand on top of mine for like 2 seconds. If you don't know, Takagi Miyu is another member of the Wake Up Girls, who was also just trying to chill around the event, trying to buy a box of manju. Needless to say, I let her have the box. Heck, she can have the whole stack of boxes if if she wanted to. But yeah, after that moment, I was frozen on the spot. I was fanboying all over, and I was talking to the folks in the Line Wug channel. But yeah, no, I cannot make this up. It's like a Sai Kano moment, right? Like, you guys know? Do you guys like Sai Kano? But yeah. Um, Moving on though, not a lot of these eventful interactions are like by chance. Sometimes there are some very eventful interactions just by attending an event like a talk show, that kind of thing. And that's exactly what happened to me with this particular picture. So this is the signature of Serizawa Yu, because she was promoting 3D Kanojo Girl in Machi Asobi, my second time at Machi Asobi. So this is very simple. Really, what it was that at the time at the end of her talk show, she had the audience play Jankenpon against each other, and whoever was left got signed posters of Serizawa Yu. If you don't know, Serizawa Yu is a member of Iris and Eiffel. You're here. You can attest to this because I was literally next to you. All right. So hopefully with that, I somewhat able to convince you, to check out Machi Asobi and hopefully have a plan to go there when you can. So let's do planning considerations, right? So if you are going to Machi Asobi, here is a list of several things that you want to consider. One is that you want to decide if you want to go to spring Machi Asobi or a fall Machi Asobi, right? And the reason is there are some events that are recurring every spring Machi Asobi that is not present in the fall Machi Asobi, and vice versa, right? Usually these events are tied to like physical locations in Tokushima that are available in certain seasons, like for example trees, trees only shed in the fall, that kind of thing. The other thing is probably the most important one that you need to consider is the lodging. So if you're planning to go to Machi Asobi, plan 2 Machi Asobis ahead, because Tokushima is not that big of a city, as I said earlier. That means the hotels, can only hold so much. And considering that this event is like, gets flocked by people during this time, you might want to secure. This is probably the first thing you want to secure when you make a plan to go to Machi Asobi. The other more important thing you want to consider, it only applies in the fall Machi Asobi, is typhoon. So in both times I've been to Machi Asobi, it was in the fall. So that means it was in the middle of typhoon season. My first one, I lucked out because I left Tokushima just as when the typhoon was about to arrive. The second one, I had, it didn't have, I pretty much got screwed. I was somehow able to make it to Tokushima, but not the industry guests that I was looking forward to meet. Their plane turned around, either turned around or got stuck in Tokyo. So that's the other thing you might want to consider. Okay. Okay, so let's talk about transportation. So you can take 4 types of transportation from anywhere, basically, but I'm just going to concentrate in Tokyo and Osaka. So if you are coming from Tokyo, if you want the least amount of headache, you might as well just take the plane. So plane takes about 1 hour, which is what I alluded to earlier when someone said Tokushima is just an hour away from Tokyo. If you do take the plane, I recommend picking a seat to the right side of the plane. That way, en route to Tokushima, you can see Mount Fuji to the right side. You can also take the train, but I would not recommend doing this because unless you like sitting, inside the train for like 6 hours. The fastest way you could get there is obviously taking the Shinkansen, and what you do is you get off at Okayama, which is northwest of Tokushima. Unfortunately, there's no direct Shinkansen to Tokushima, so you have to go a roundabout route, which is why it takes forever. I didn't know about this before, but you can take the bus from Tokyo to Tokushima, and it takes about 9 hours, 40 minutes. Likewise, ferry, if you really have a luxury of time, maybe you can take the ferry. If you're coming from Osaka, unfortunately, there's no plane to Tokushima, so you can only take train, bus, or ferry. Train, the JR takes about 3 hours 20 minutes. The bus takes about 2 hours 25 minutes, and the ferry takes about 2 hours. Okay. So transportation, getting around Tokushima. Well, the good news is you can just walk. As I said, Tokushima is not that big of a city, and you can cover pretty much wherever you want. You have to go in Machi Asobi. You could just walk, but If you can, though, go rent a bike. You can rent a bike in Tokushima station, but other places too. I don't know where exactly you rented a bike, but um, oh yeah. So the bikes here are like electrically powered. So hopefully we can help you with it can lessen your load with pedaling around to get to places in Machi Asobi. Okay. So here's a map, a custom map that I created, right? And then we will let's see what time it is. Okay, 8:27. Okay, so here's a map that I created that contains all the points of interest that are pertaining to Machi Asobi, as well as places outside of it, right? So a typical itinerary, we're going to assume that your the mode of transportation you took is the plane. So in that case, your first point of entry is Tokushima Airport. So notice that the airport is not actually in the city limits. So if you do take the plane, you would have to take a bus to get to the city proper. That trip takes 30 minutes, and it will drop you. The terminus is in Tokushima Station, which is right around here, which is good because this is pretty much the epicenter of the whole city as far as Machi Asobi is concerned. So assuming that you scored to get a hotel right around here, then one of the first places you probably are going to is the Shinmachi Bridge East Park. So this is what it looks like. So this is not even during Machi Asobi, but it looks pretty damn good. Um, Especially at night if they have stuff floating there. But yeah, this is the stage basically. So during Machi Asobi, this is used as a venue for a lot of events, mainly talk shows and like I said earlier with the event with Serizawa Yu with 3D Kanojo Girl. It actually happened at this place. Not that far away is the Shinmachi Boardwalk. Again, gorgeous at night. But during the day and during Machi Asobi, this gets filled with umbrella booths where you can either buy stuff or where events such as the meet and greet that I mentioned earlier are held. Okay, so this is where I got lost, and this is where I got tapped on the shoulder by the three Hanayamata girls. While you're around, yeah. Oh, someone said a free swag everywhere too. That is correct. That is correct. Yeah, I came by the time I was done with Machi Asobi, it came up with a lot more swag. Okay, so similar in this area. While you're there, you might as well check out the UFO Table Cafe Tokushima, which is really just a themed restaurant of all the UFO Table franchises. So check that out. Not that far away is the UFO Table Cinema. So they use this in two different modes, right? So this is the entrance to UFO Table Cinema. They hold events here. They hold talk shows. The people who are speaking are behind that balcony right there, and everyone who's attending is just on the floor, the ground floor rather. But this is also a place where you can watch premieres. I mentioned that earlier too. Uh, let's see. Okay, so let's stray away a bit from this region right here because the other main stage in Machi Asobi takes place on top of a mountain, Mount Bizan. So to get there, you would have to walk to the cable car station. Sorry, it's right here, right? Yeah, so this is what I was talking about earlier when I said anime tourism. So while you're being taken to one of the venues of Machi Asobi, they kind of force you to enjoy the scenery of the whole city. During Machi Asobi, what they do is they have guided narrations as you're riding the cable car. So sometimes you have a voice actor, voice actresses from whatever franchise they're trying to promote speak about the sceneries that you're seeing as you make your way to the summit. While you're there, When you're there, I think the only point of interest that's related to the event is the forest stage, which looks like this during Machi Asobi. This is actually taken during Machi Asobi, where again they held talk shows and all other fun stuff. But since you're already in at the top of the mountain, you might as well just visit the park there and look at the city from a very high altitude. It's even more fantastic at night, as you could see here. But definitely check that out. You don't want to, go to the summit of the mountain and then miss this out entirely. Let's see. Let me see if we have enough time. Okay. The other thing is, where was it? Yes. You have excuse me for a second. I was looking for where the Shoten guy is. So Shoten guy is like a shopping alley. In Machi Asobi actually plays a very important role because it hosts different events. Oh yeah, that's it. Okay, so yeah, again, shopping alley, lots of stores. But in Machi Asobi, some of these spaces are actually occupied by industry companies, right? You could find people promoting games here. I was playing Mega Man actually for the Switch uh, somewhere around this area. Um, let's see if there are any pictures. Oh yeah, so the pictures of Itashas that I showed earlier, actually they were actually exhibited here. And likewise, the picture that I showed of Palmer Lucky cosplaying as someone from Metal Gear, it's actually also held in this place. So what they do is they dedicate an alley where people who want to take pictures stand on the side, and they have like a red carpet in the middle, and that's where the cosplayers march so that they can have their pictures taken. It's almost like a cosplay masquerade, so to speak. Okay. Um, so that's just inside the city proper, but the point of Machi Asobi is not for you to not just explore stuff inside the city, but also outside. So one of my favorite places to go to is this point right here, which is the Naruto Whirlpool, right? So Naruto Whirlpool, yeah, I know I've never seen a whirlpool before, but yeah, so this is a tidal whirlpool, and the reason for its existence is because of two opposing currents that are just angled in the correct way, and the result is the Naruto whirlpool. Okay. Um, all right. So enough of this. I will have this map available for your consumption after the panel. But let's just move on real quick. Okay. So there are other things that you might want to visit in Machi Asobi that are not necessarily places. For example, the art gallery under the bridge. That's only during Machi Asobi. So if you're there, get on a boat on the river and look at the art under the bridges. There's also something called the Digital Creator Human Resources Discovery Seminar, which is it's very nice program. It's an incubator program, and what it does is that it helps people from the rural areas if they want to get into voice acting. This program helps them do so and provides guidance, which is very nice because a lot of our favorite voice actors and actresses actually don't come from Tokyo. Now, if you think of it that way. Same with a new type Machi Asobi. So what they do during Machi Asobi is they award anime shows during that particular season. Likewise, they have UFO table industry talk events that's held, as I said earlier, in front of UFO Table Cafe or the cinema. And then there are other projects that are too many to mention that is very just different for each volume of Machi Asobi. Okay, so while you're there, make sure you don't miss out on local specialties. So Tokushima is known for at least four. So starting from the top left uh, is actually it's a cake, right? It's a piece of no, not cake. I guess it's some kind of a pastry. But what it is, it's made out of strawberries from the region because Tokushima is um, known for strawberries, apparently. And that is a picture of a limited edition pastry promoted by none other than Nakamura Eriko, whom, if you don't know, is the voice of Amami Haruka in Idolmaster. She is a frequent visitor, and it seems like every time I visit Machi Asobi, she's always promoting something, which is very nice. Over here on my top right, that's what's called a sugata sushi, which is fish stuffed with rice. I don't know how to describe it other than it's what you get if someone serves you sushi and then you play Uno reverse card on it. I've never tried it, but it seems intimidating at least. But I will definitely try that my next time in Machi Asobi. On my bottom right is what's called a Naruto Gintoki, which is somewhat like a sweet potato. Uh, Never tried it, but I see it being sold on the streets during Machi Asobi, but never had a chance to try it. What I have tried though is a citrus fruit called sudachi, which is it's a sweet sour citrus. The juice it tastes amazing. It's very refreshing, especially when you're sort of tired walking around exploring Tokushima during Machi Asobi. But really, my favorite application of sudachi citrus fruit is when they make cocktails out of it. So when I go to Japan, I usually go when I go to a bar or place to drink. I usually order lemon sour. I'm known as lemon sour guy from a certain place. Except when I'm in Tokushima, then I order sudachi sour, which is, oh my god, it's fantastic. It's just fantastic. So definitely do not miss out on these local specialties. Okay, so recap: attend Machi Asobi, and if you're looking for a reason why, attend because of a unique experience called anime tourism, and all the other things that are result from anime tourism, which is again the great value and the interactions that you get from just other people from industry trying to enjoy Machi Asobi like yourself. Um, Plan your itinerary carefully. I've laid out all the possible things that might jeopardize your trip. Definitely to pay attention to that. And last but not the least, I hope to see you there soon someday. Hopefully after this COVID nonsense, I hope when that nonsense goes away. Okay, so it is now 8:39. I'm ready for questions if you have any. Yeah, so if you do questions, just prefix it with the letter Q and then the colon so I can read it. Or, yeah, definitely do that. Oh, thanks, Ifo. Oh, all right. Thank you very much. You, how much is renting per day? I think that was 1,000. No, per day. I'm not sure anymore, actually. It was, let's see, Ifo, was it you who rented a bike? I need to get. I would have to get back to you on that, but it's not expensive from what I remember. What's a good Machi Asobi weekend budget? Oh, that depends on how much you want to splurge and how much you want to like be thrifty. Definitely save your budget for if you want to buy goods. But as far as food is concerned, I don't think that's very expensive. Um, where's the choo choo churros shot? Yeah. Which stage do you prefer, mountain or bridge? I prefer the bridge because it's easy to get in if you're late and easy to get out if you need to get out. With mountain stage, usually, so the mountain stage is actually just an empty parking lot at the top of the summit, and you sit on that parking lot. However, that parking lot is so gigantic that I guess for a reason, right? Because they want it to hold as many attendees as possible. But getting out is a pain in the neck. as I experienced during my last Machi Asobi. How much have I spent on Machi Asobi? Surprisingly, not much. You know, the biggest the biggest expense I have with Machi Asobi, not including the merch, is the plane ticket um, and the hotel. But as far as merch is concerned, I didn't really spend that much because I have no need to. I get free swag all the time. The only time I would probably spend emergency funds is that if I find out that there's an event for a meet and greet or sign kai autograph signing, and I had to go rush to Anime Tokushima and buy whatever goods I had to buy so I can get a chance to meet them. Any suggestions for accommodation area specifically? Yeah, the closer you are to Tokushima Station, the better. As I said, Tokushima Station is the epicenter for the city as far as Machi Asobi is concerned. Check out hotels. My first time I used a hotel. The second time I was with Airbnb with friends. Let's see. Were there any other questions that I missed? But yeah, well, I guess let's see. It's 43. I have 7 minutes left. There are other experiences that I did not mention in the panel in the interest of time, but since we have time, I'll talk about them. So the other benefit of taking a plane to Tokushima as opposed to any other modes of transportation is because the people in the industry take planes to Tokushima. In one of my trips back, I was actually sharing the same plane as Riona, who is an Anisan artist. So yeah, again, that's not planned, but it just happened because I was taking a plane. Oh, questions are pinned. Okay, let's see. I need to get back on e-bikes because I wasn't the one who actually rented an e-bike. It was Chris, um, Sakai Project Chris. Are you here? He's the one who rented the e-bike, so I guess I can ask him afterwards. Uh, let's see. Do you plan around Machi Asobi, or is it just it happens to line up with trips? Um, Both. So I plan when I go decide to attend Machi Asobi, I have several events in mind, but the rest of them is by the ear. Any tools, items you would suggest to bring along, collapsible chair, parasol, etc. Um, Chair, maybe a chair. I don't think you'll have to bring a chair at all. Parasol. So I went in fall Machi Asobi. I don't remember that the temperature was hot enough to warrant a parasol. Um, let's see. Do you have to line up 24 hours ahead of time to get things like US? No, you do have to buy. You need if for several events like meet and greet and Sankai, you do have to buy something from Animate. And if I remember correctly, the Hanayamata event that I fortunately was able to go to was thanks to someone helping me buy something in Anime Tokushima. Yeah, you had to buy it from there, which is crazy because then if you're in Tokyo, you're SOL. So to answer your question, no need to line up, but you got to buy stuff in advance, like a week in advance. How accessible is Machi Asobi as a not Nihongo Jozu person? There are it's very accessible, very very accessible. Believe it or not, there's a lot more foreigners in Machi Asobi than I thought. And most of them are not even they're there because of Machi Asobi. They're just there because it's Tokushima. Yes, there is an international desk. There's one, I believe, in the station, and then several other places. Where exactly, I forget. I might need to get back to you on that. You see, yeah. As T Dub said, did not Jozu, but there were so many Canadians. uh, okay. All right. So I'm going to wrap up early then. I will continue to be in the chat. But again, uh, thank you for attending. Once and enjoyed the rest of KuroCon, and hopefully, as I said earlier, I hope we can go back to eventing again, and hopefully I can see you in Tokushima and Machi Asobi. Thank you.